thousands of miles away in India. As a result, she figures it's safe to say what she really thinks about you. Watch.
His whole campaign, Make America Great Again, was looking backwards. You know, you didn't like black people getting rights. You don't like women, getting jobs. You don't want to, see that Indian American succeeding more than you are. Whatever your problem is, I'm going to solve it. We don't do well with married white women. And part of that is an identification with the Republican Party and a sort of ongoing pressure to vote the way that your husband, your boss, your son, whoever, believes you should.
Well, notice who Hillary Clinton did not blame for her loss: herself, or her ideas, or anything she's ever said or done. But it is a mistake, though, to make this about Hillary Clinton. She's a figure of the past, but her ideas are very much a feature of the present. The clip you just heard precisely sums up the view of the left in America right now. A bigoted middle class is holding back progress. They believe that. To the Democratic Party, voters in the middle of the country don't have legitimate views or aspirations. They have only ugly gut reactions. They're racists and dumb people. White women, as Hillary Clinton said. They can't think for themselves. They're puppets of their husbands and sons. Worst of all, they're attached to those stubborn little cells of independence called families. And nothing stands in the way of power like families, so they must be smashed. That's the message. Hillary may be washed up, but she understands perfectly well what the goals are. Julie Alvin is Lifestyle Director at the Meredith Corporation. She joins us tonight. Julie, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So I don't want to beat up on Hillary Clinton, and I mean that, actually.
I thought that's why you bring me on.
No, I'm actually sincere. I feel, look, she lost. I always feel sorry for the loser. I think she's become less popular among Democrats. She's humiliating herself. So I don't want to pound on her, but I do want to talk about the ideas. I'm really struck because I think she's the perfect sort of embodiment of an attitude that pervades the Democratic Party right now, which is, we lost and it's your fault. You're bigots. You're standing in the way of progress, America. And I think that's what do you think of that attitude? It's everywhere.
I don't think it's a fair attitude. I think one valid point that a lot of people make when talking about a lot of the statements that Hillary Clinton makes is that she doesn't necessarily talk about the tactical errors that her team made as far as campaigning, as far as appealing to the middle of the country. So, while I certainly am personally against the administration that's currently in office and a lot of the things that I believe that they stand for,
right,
I think that the Democrats also need to account for the errors that they made during the 2016 election. I
don't know, though, because I hear that a lot. I know all the people who worked, the top people on the Hillary campaign. They're really smart. They're all smarter than I am. They had $1 billion. There wasn't really a lot of tactical thinking that they didn't, that they weren't aware of. Like, they did the tactics right.
I don't know. I don't know that they did. I mean, I'm not here to necessarily argue about the problems with the Democratic Party, but I don't think they necessarily did.
Could the problem have been that they didn't understand that the middle class of the country was dying in absolute terms and felt hated and dismissed by them? That maybe was the problem, don't you think?
Well, I think when I talk about a tactical issue, I think that not appealing to that middle part of the country, not understanding how to deliver the economic messaging that would really resonate with those people, I think that was a tactical error, yes.
I would say it's a thematic error. It's kind of a deep error. What do you think of Hillary's line? And again, I'm not beating up on her, but I think this kind of gets to one of the core contradictions in modern feminism. That white women, as she said with disdain, voted for Trump because they were pressured by their husbands and sons. She thinks that women are so weak-minded that they're bossed around by their sons in the voting booth. Doesn't that tell you a lot? Isn't that revealing?
Well, as much as I hate that soundbite from her, and I wish that, it makes it sound as though women are incapable of making their own decisions when it comes to the voting booth. But as much as I wish this weren't true, there actually is data to back that up. There was a study by Oregon State University a couple of years ago that said that women, and specifically white women, are unduly pressured by their partners when it comes to making political decisions. And generally that women basically women, when they are unmarried, they tend to vote with the good of their gender in mind, whereas once they become married, they are more likely to vote in their husband's best economic interests. And this is largely because women hold less money and earn less money and hold less power in this country. And there actually is evidence to back up the fact that women, when married, and specifically white women, tend to vote with their husband's economic interest in mind. And that is perceived to be, for white women at least,
I wonder,
voting Republican.
I wonder, so if you have a group of people, married white people, and you spend like a huge amount of time attacking them on the basis of their race and their marital status, as the Democratic Party and its surrogates do constantly.
They attack married people?
Well, sure. Well, of course, because that's not their constituency. I mean, their policies are aimed at the unmarried because married people don't vote for them. And, of course, they attack people explicitly.
I think that's vastly untrue.
Last week, Chuck Schumer said he wasn't going to support a federal judicial nominee because he was white. And I just wonder, like, is that what do you think the net effect of that is? Is that good for the country for politicians to say that kind of thing out loud?
Well, I think that you're mischaracterizing the fact that Republicans, or excuse me, that Democrats are not trying to appeal to married people. That's a huge swath of the population. I think that they're trying to appeal to a specific ideology, and that is an ideology that is adopted by both married and unmarried people.
Well, I like married women, and I think I have a higher opinion of women than you do, and I'm not a feminist. I mean, I think they kind of vote the way they want to vote. That's the ones I know do.
I mean, I think that is by and large true, and I think that some of the things that Hillary Clinton said oversimplified it in that particular instance. But there is a little bit of data, unfortunately, and I wish it were not the case, to back up what she said there.
You're a brave woman to say that on TV. Julie, thank you. Good
Thanks.
to see you.
You too.
Certainly had a rocky relationship with public opinion, but his difficulties haven't done anything to make people think better of Hillary Clinton, which is kind of weird. A new Gallup poll shows Clinton approval rating at 36%, an all-time low, or disapproval has hit 61%. That's an all-time high. What is going on here exactly? Something bigger, perhaps? Julie Alvin is digital editor at Time Inc., and she joins us tonight. Julie, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So what I find so striking about these numbers, and I really feel, I don't want to pile on Hillary Clinton. She lost. That's enough punishment, as far as I can tell. But I think this may say something bigger and more interesting about the country. Her numbers among women are much worse than you would think for someone who is the self-described champion of all women. A lot of women don't like Hillary Clinton. Why is that?
I can't necessarily answer that question. I think it depends on who you're talking to. So, you know, if you're looking at these polls specifically, it showed that there was a drop from 79 to 78% among Democrats who were taking this poll, and the poll among Republicans was from 11% to 5%. So I don't know if, you know, the number of women who support Hillary Clinton is really the issue here, and really more that this is split across party lines. And I have a lot of thoughts on why that.
Well, no, that is definitely true. Of course, it's a party line thing. It always has been. But her numbers among women are soft. She's been asked about it repeatedly. She lost women under 30 to Bernie Sanders, you remember, in the primaries. She lost married women in the general. And she was asked over at MSNBC the other day, why is that? And she said, and I'm quoting, I think women, are publicly disrespecting themselves. I don't know what their own, I don't think they know what their own arguments are.
Well,
in other words, they're too silly to know that I'm a great person. Isn't that kind of patronizing?
I mean, I've heard this argument from Fox News hosts many times that when Hillary Clinton says that, you know, women didn't vote in their best interest by voting for Donald Trump, and I certainly agree with her on that point. I think that saying that her approval ratings among women are low doesn't necessarily mean that the approval ratings of Donald Trump are then high for those same women. So, you know, there are certainly things that Hillary Clinton has skeletons in her closet. She has been criticized most specifically by Donald Trump and the GOP and this network in particular over and over again.
Hold on, Julie, we're not talking about, I mean, Fox is one among many, many networks. And I know that it's this thing where, you know, if it's Fox's fault. Okay, but
I don't think
the majority of married women voted against her, and unfortunately, they're not all our viewers.
Well,
so here's my question: if you said, you know, women are doing this, and I said, you know, the thing about women is they just don't know what's in their own interest. They just don't understand what they say. You would look at me and say, wow, that's patronizing, maybe even sexist. Why is it okay when Hillary says that about women?
Well, I think that she was right in saying that women who voted for Donald Trump are voting against their own interests, given the fact that Donald Trump has a history of bragging about, you know, alleged sexual harassment against women, given that a lot of the programs that he's put in place, from the minimum wage to, or from, you know, advocating for not as high of a minimum wage to the health care bill, are things that would disproportionately affect women. So
but
that's my view. That's also proven out by fact.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, these are obviously subjective statements that you're making. They're not factual statements. But let me just ask you, don't adult women have the right to decide what they think is best for them without being patronized by liberals?
They absolutely have the right to make the decisions that they believe are best for them. But I think that you could also say in this election that a lot of rural low-income people actually voted against their interests in voting for Donald Trump because, you know, the health care bills that he would propose and the tax bill that's going through are things that are going to disadvantage them. So, you know, you can say this is sexist, you can say this is elitist, but it really, if you actually look at the policies that are in place, a lot of these do disadvantage women, they disadvantage low-income people, and they disadvantage people who voted for Donald Trump. I don't think that that's patronizing. I think that it's true.
Well, it might be worth meditating on why they did that. Maybe if you think the other people hate you because they don't like your skin color or your gender or where you live, you know, maybe that kind of wrecks the deal for you. You're not going to vote for someone you think hates you. I think that's true for both sides. But let me ask you this. Hillary's book tour kind of went on forever. I think these numbers, my guess is these numbers are going down because she's been doing all these media appearances trying to sell this book. She's incredibly rich already. Why do you think she had to go on the world's longest book tour and try to sell this book beyond the point that people really wanted to buy it? What was that about?
I don't think that it was beyond the point that people wanted to buy it. I know a lot of people were really hungry to sort of learn what lessons she took away from this election. And, you know, what I really want to know is, why are we talking about Hillary Clinton's approval ratings? Like, I want to talk about Donald Trump's abysmal approval ratings.
I bet you do, but Hillary Clinton kind of thrust herself. Look, if Hillary Clinton wants to, you know, move to Barbados and, you know, do whatever Hillary Clinton does in her spare time, that's fine with me. But Hillary Clinton placed herself at the center of public attention for almost a year trying to sell this book. And so I think it's fair to respond. I don't think I'm a Hillary obsessive or hater or anything like that. I mean, she's jumping around trying to be relevant.
She wrote
Why is
a
it
book.
bad to have an opinion on that?
She's not a public figure. She's not in public office. Why does she even have approval ratings? She's a civilian. I just don't understand. And I also don't think that, I mean, this is the most watched cable news network in the country, and I don't think that, you know, you guys can spend a lot of time inordinately bashing Hillary Clinton and then wonder why people don't like her.
I'm actually not bashing her, but let me just ask you one final question, okay? And I don't want to be mean, but can you think of a single interesting or insightful thing Hillary Clinton has ever said? I've covered her since 1992, and I have never heard one. Have you?
Yes, I can think of many interesting and insightful things.
Hit me with one profundity. I promise I'll let you deliver it.
Well, I think that the fact that she acknowledged in her book various reasons that came to light about why she wasn't elected, including accounting for her own tactical mistakes, as well as accounting for some of the sexism that was leveled against her in the campaign, as well as accounting for, you know, the nationalism and populism that the Donald Trump campaign, you know, played into. I think there was a lot of insight in that book. And you ask about the book tour, and I was somebody who wanted to read that book. I wanted to know what happened. I want to know why Donald Trump is our president. I want to know.
I could have told you. Sexism. I've watched her a long time. I knew that was going to be the answer. You should have called me, and I could have saved you.
That's not the answer, but we don't call male politicians shrill and unlikable, so it definitely played a part.
I don't know if they are shrill and unlikable. I'd be happy to. And there are who are shrill and unlikable, and I'd be happy to say that. So you've challenged me, and I will rise to that.